Hello everyone, it's Yusuf back from Crafting Clouds, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a very important topic with Method CRM, probably one of the most important topics, and that topic is automation in Method. I'm actually quite shocked that I've been doing these videos for you guys, and it's been, I would want to say, over a year now. And this is the first time. I think maybe I used it in a previous video as an element of the video, which was the estimate reminders. But this is the first time we're actually looking into the automation engine of Method CRM, the creme de la creme for all cremes in the QuickBooks ecosystem. The reason why Method CRM is a platinum partner of QuickBooks, the reason why Method CRM is the number one CRM for QuickBooks, the reason why people who join Method CRM don't leave is because of its automations, okay, and what it can do. It's extremely, extremely flexible. This is one big aspect of why people love Method CRM. So in today's video, we're going to be going through what they call automations in Method as scheduled app routines or app routines. Now they could be scheduled or they could be manual, and I'll loosely talk about the differences between both in the video. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what exactly these automations or these scheduled app routines can do for you. Some real common use case scenarios that I myself have built for the businesses that work with me, and they love it. So let's zoom in here and we'll start off right over here. So we got maintenance and cleanup tasks. So you could use Method CRM to automatically delete your leads that have been inactive over a certain period of time, or tag them if you'd like, for you to review and maybe have your sales team try to get them warm again. That is something that could be done while you sleep. And that's kind of one thing I wanted to say is this automation, when you schedule it, it works while you sleep. So it's like you're having a worker, in Method working overtime while you're sleeping. It's amazing. It's extremely robust. I really love it. Another example here is updating report stats every night. So what I mean by that is, for example, you might have a report that you give to the sales manager wants to get every week, and the sales manager wants to see for his or her sales team, how many estimates got accepted, how many invoices got paid. The estimates and invoices, if it were measured as an amount as well as a number of estimates, a number of invoices, that's a count that's going to gradually update, right? It's going to frequently update day to day. So that's something that you would leverage this scheduled app routine or this Method automation for, to keep those numbers fresh and up to date. That way, every week they're getting the most accurate information. So that's just an example of updating report stats every night. Next one is reporting and notification. So like the report I just explained as an example for the sales manager. But here are some other examples. So you receive a daily, weekly sales report in your inbox. So the sales manager wakes up, he or she right away, when they have to present for their team, they don't have to scurry and run around to generate the import and the report themselves and have to worry about that. That task is taken off their plate. When they wake up, they just see an email with a PDF attached or an Excel sheet, whatever you'd like, with the amounts and with the numbers that they need to present to their sales team that morning. Then you have automatically email out customer statements. By the way, I've done all of these that that we're listing here. So this is very easy stuff. Automatically email out customer statements. So in QuickBooks, you have your customer statements. Now, what if instead of having to generate a customer statement manually in QuickBooks, you can set up a schedule where you say, hey, every month, at the end of the month, all of our customers should be getting a statement, right? Well, great. At the end of every month, you can set up a scheduled app routine in Method to go ahead and do that for you. There's no need for you to have to remember to send out statements to all of your customers and potentially miss some. Then you have automatically email out estimate reminders. I did an extensive video on this earlier in the year, I believe. It might have been last year, but I think it was earlier in the year. Anyways, this is a huge tool for sales reps to be able to not have to worry or forget to reach out to an estimate that's going stale. This is always going to keep your estimates fresh. It's always going to engage the lead or the customer to ensure that the lead or customer is informed that there is a pending approval waiting for them. That is a big task that you're taking off of the sales team's plate. Now, the fun stuff. Now you got integrations. Automatically update rep technician availability to WordPress website calendar. This is one that I actually did for another business. So this is a really, really cool way to leverage Method's automation to take the data that's in Method, and it could be custom data. In this case, what I did is I built a custom time slot table for my business, and then I would have that table every single day go up and refresh that calendar. Okay. Now you also want to do some other best practices there to make sure that the time slots don't get outdated, but it's a huge headache taken off of your plate, because now you're having to leverage a method to actually give you the accurate availabilities for these sales reps, and it's coming straight from Method. Then other one, send a daily Slack message to the team regarding outstanding to-dos. So this is another one that I've done, where basically all you're doing is you're telling your sales team and your service team, hey, these are all your work orders that are still outstanding, or these are all your to-dos that you still got to do. And it's in their team Slack every week. So that is something every week, or you can go daily. It doesn't matter. It's really the frequency. I chose daily here just as an example, but the flexibility is that if you wanted to do it on a random Thursday every 3 weeks of every month, the 21st of each month, you can set it up however you want. That's the incredible thing. There's no limitations on that part as well. Then finally, you got advanced. So you can have an automation and scheduled app routine that runs daily, that automatically pushes data or retrieves data. You can do both. It doesn't have to be both. It could be two ways, where it goes in this case, we're saying it's automatically triggering a workflow from Method to N8N or Zapier that connects with an array of systems. So if you're familiar with Zapier or N8N, it's a middleware integration platform. It's a no-code platform where it offers a suite of thousands and thousands of the most popular apps out there for you to integrate with. And they do a pretty good job of making it pretty easy to integrate with them. So now you're connecting Method to thousands of other apps, and it's happening automatically without you having to do anything. Method is basically talking to each one of these apps overnight without you having to do anything. It's pretty incredible stuff. So now what we're going to be working on for today's video is we're going to do an example where we're going to have a scheduled app routine that runs every day. Okay. You can set it to every week, but we're just going to do it every day. And what it's going to do is it's automatically going to flag estimates as inactive in QuickBooks if the estimate is pending and older than 90 days. We're also going to mark the customer lead as dormant. Okay. So this is just my criteria that I have set up. Okay. So the flagging as inactive in QuickBooks, if an estimate, let me zoom out. If an estimate is pending older than 90 days, these two is just a criteria that I have set up. We can set up whatever rule you want. This is just an example, but you can have a variety of rules that you want to make sure that the automation meets before it performs a particular task, right? In this case, this is what I chose. And then we're also marking that customer lead as dormant. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's try it out. All right, so we're in our estimates list, and as you can see, I have a bunch of estimates here. Some of them are in pending status, some of them are accepted, some of them are rejected. All of them show active equals true, and they go all the way back to January 21st of this year. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to be able to manage this, because this, as you can see, can accumulate and be a little bit overwhelming if you're not, making these inactive, both in Method and in QuickBooks. So what we're essentially doing is when we go into an estimate, this estimate is active checkbox is going to become unchecked. That's what essentially we're doing. And once we make it unchecked, this is a QuickBooks field, so it's also going to uncheck that active flag in QuickBooks as well. So this is a great tool to help your sales team, only focus on the estimates that are currently active and the ones that are still warm and need to be closed, and also helps them focus on the colder segmenting those colder estimates away from their active estimates, so that they also have tasks to try to revive those old estimates as well, but in a separate list. That's way it's more easily it's easily organized. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to build a scheduled app routine or an automation. So we're going to click Manage App for the estimates. We're going to go to our App Routines option here, and we're going to click New Routine, and we're just going to name this routine Manage Estimate Active Flag. Okay. Now, this may not be the best nomenclature. It's fine. This is specifically just for internal use. It doesn't go anywhere else. You can add a description here if you want to explain exactly what it does further, in case you have another member of your team that's also collaborating with you in customizing Method, then this will definitely help. Now, as you can see, it gives you the status of active, the name, the description. Then it shows you inputs, actions, and outputs. Now, when would you use inputs? In our example, because we already know that we're looking at pending estimates, we don't necessarily need to use inputs here. We want to be able to use inputs when, let's say, you want to feed it a list of estimates that you checked off on a screen. But because this is a scheduled app routine, which means you're not going to even be logged into Method, you don't need to feed it anything, because you're already giving it the criteria that you want, which is look at all my pending estimates. Now, where this comes handy, like I said, there's another way of using an app routine which is not scheduled, where you're actually triggering the app routine by clicking a button. Okay, is when you want to update a status, for example, on an estimate, but then you also want to use that logic on the estimate transaction screen to also update a list of your estimates that apply to that same logic, right? So you want to take that same logic that you have on the estimate transaction, and you want to also reference it on your list screen, which is a separate screen. In order for you to do that, you need to use app routines. So app routines gives you a great way of just being efficient with your logic in Method and your customization in Method by being able to call the same automation from multiple spots within the app. Now, a limitation with app routines is that you can only call that automation within the app itself. So if you're building a button, let's say, where you want to update your estimate status, but you're in the invoice screen or you're in the customer's profile, but the app routine lives in the estimate, you won't be able to refer to it. This is a limitation of Method, and I know Method is going to be working on enhancing this, where they're going to create something called global app routines, which will allow you to now do exactly what I just explained, where you can actually call an automation from a different app. So in this case, if we want to call an estimate automation, but we're in the invoice app, we could do so. But for right now, you can only call these automations from within the app itself. But because we're not clicking a button in this example for this video, and we're actually creating a scheduled app routine, that means that we're not clicking a button. It's just automatically going to be scheduled and run on its own timetable that we set. Okay? So that's what inputs are for. Actions is where you're going to go ahead now and build your logic. So very similar to your action editor, when you go and you build a button on screen anywhere in Method, it's the exact same action editor here. Nothing's different. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a loop through table. Okay? And we're going to go and choose the estimates table, right? And the status we're looking for is pending. Okay. And then when we look at that, so we're saying loop through pending estimates. And we're also going to say, let's mark this as where the is active flag, right? Because we only want to look at ones that are active, is yes. Okay. That are active. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check to see how many days old. Because remember, our criteria was anything older than 90 days, we must close. Okay. So we're going to go in here and we're going to say date function. Okay. And we're going to grab the date difference. And then we're going to say subtract this date, which is going to be the transaction date of the estimate from this date, which is the current date and time of when the automation is running. So today. Okay. And we're going to calculate the difference in days. We're going to say result days. Okay. Grab get number of days since estimate was created. Then we're going to add a conditional statement. That conditional statement, we're going to take that days variable and we're going to say if the days is greater than 90, right? So if the number of days, if result days is greater than 90, right? That's when we're going to go ahead and we're going to update the estimate. So we're going to get that estimate now. We're referring to the estimate's record ID, and we're getting the current estimate that it's looping through, which is also the estimate's loop record ID right here. Okay. And then right here, what we're going to do is we're going to update the is active flag to no. That's it. Okay. So we're going to say update is active equals to no. Okay. Now, another thing we want to do is we want to see as well if we should check. We want to check if the customer is truly dormant, because that customer may have multiple estimates, right? And they may have an estimate that is pending, right? Or any estimate, whether it's pending, accepted, rejected, they may have an estimate, that, and we would want to look at their most recent estimate. And we want to check to see if that recent estimate was also 90 days old, or if it's the same estimate that we've just updated, right? Because if they have a newer estimate, if we're tracking an estimate for a customer that was 90 days old that we forgot to make inactive, but they have engaged in another estimate with us in the future, we don't want to mark them as dormant because they're not. We're still engaging with them. So that wouldn't be a true reflection of being a dormant customer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to get estimate, right? And we're going to see, we're actually going to get the customer where customer, let me see, actually, let me say, where the customer record ID is equal to the loop customer record ID. Okay. We're going to get the last estimate. Okay. And we're going to get the transaction date for that estimate. So we're going to say result last estimate transaction date. So now we're taking the last estimate, so the most recent estimate of theirs, and we're finding that transaction date. And we're going to understand whether that estimate is also greater than 90 days. If it is, then we know that it is truly a dormant customer. If it isn't, we're not going to mark it as dormant. We're just going to ignore it. Okay. So we're going to say result check to see the last estimate made for this customer. Okay. And then from here, we're going to do conditional. And we're going to say, actually not conditional. We don't need that. We're going to do update function, date difference again. Okay, we're going to say last estimate transaction from this date. So current date and time again, right? We're going to say result last estimate days. It's important that you don't use the same variable that you used here. And the reason why is because if you reference the same variable that you used here, you're going to overwrite this variable, and you don't want to do that, right? So it's always better to never never claim another variable with the same name as a variable that you used earlier on. It's just a best practice. So we're calling it result last estimate days, and we're saying get the number of days of the last estimate created for this customer, right? And then we're doing another conditional, and we're saying right here, if we're saying result days, last estimate days is greater than 90. So we say result. So now we're saying if the number of days is also greater than 90 for its most recent estimate, right? That's when we want to update their customer profile to dormant. So we're going to go to their customer, okay? And you might not have this. I'm going to be updating a tag list that's on the customer profile. Tag lists are not on the customer profile out of the box in Method. You would have to add a tag list custom field, but just a small note to call out. So we're going to say record ID is equal to loop customer record ID, right? So we're updating the customer that's within the loop. And we're getting the tag list. And now to update a tag, the format that you want to update it in is in comma delimited format. So you're going to start with a comma, you're going to put in the word or the tag, and then you end it with another comma. And I'm just going to actually put capital D here. That's it. Now we're marking customer as dormant. Okay? So now we're saying retrieve the last. And in fact, one thing that I also want to be careful of that I'm just realizing now, we also want to make sure that the last estimates, actually no, ignore what I just said. I'm just thinking out loud. So let's just leave that alone, okay? And let's just mark that as dormant. So this is our logic. This is our automation now. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this. Okay, now we have our logic. All right. Now outputs is if we want to take basically an output. So let's say there was a transaction that was created, like a work order or a list of work orders, right? You would want to create a variable within your action editor that tracks those list of work orders, right? And grabs them and puts them in a list, and then call that variable in an action result here as an output. But for our example, we don't necessarily need an output. Now, the reason why I mentioned the list of work orders as an output is because you may want to take those work orders then when you call that app routine and do something else with it within the screen that you're working on in Method. In this case, because it's purely a scheduled app routine, we're not even going to be in Method when this runs. We don't need an output, okay? So now we're going to hit save. And let's actually go ahead and hit publish draft. You must publish this in order for the app routine to work. Even though it says active here, it's not published. So you have to make sure to click publish here, okay? Now, if you ever want to make changes to the app routine, all you have to do is click create draft, and it marks it as draft again. That's it. You don't need to copy it. You don't have to copy and redo everything all over again. You just say create draft. Other than that, you just say publish draft once you're ready and you're done. And that way you're just updating the same app routine. You're not creating another one. Now, lastly, what we want to do is we want to click the schedule button. Okay, so we're going to click schedule. And then schedule here, we're going to say, what do you want to do? Every day, every weekday, every weekly on Monday. We're going to say daily, okay? And these are all the times that you have available. Now, best practice, in my opinion, never run a big scheduled app routine in the middle of the day, because Method is sharing its platform across many, many users that use it. And if you're building these app routines and you're having them run midday, you may actually impact the performance for other users in the platform, including yourself. Best practice is always run these automations in the middle of the night when no one's on. All right. So, what I like to do is I like to choose either uh, 12 to 2 a.m., 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 8. Okay. This is kind of the down periods. So I always choose one of these four slots. For this case, I'm just going to choose 4 to 6 and hit save. Okay. Now, what we could do is, if I go back, I'm going to call this app routine manually through a button. So if I go in here, and I'm just going to add another button here. Okay. Let me add in button here, left. Okay, we're going to add reports here, left, and then let's add another one. We're going to say call, or no, we're going to say filter, update, estimate, hold estimates. I know this is not the best nomenclature, guys. I'm just, improvising as I go along here. But, you definitely need a better terminology than this, that's for sure. So if we go here and we say icon color primary, okay. So now I've created a label, a button label, and I'm just going to go ahead and click here, and I'm going to say call routine. All right. Now, because we're within, like I said earlier in the video, because we've created this app routine within the Estimates app, we're able to see it here, manage estimate active flag. Okay. So if we were in, and if we're in a different app, like the Invoices app, and you tried calling routine and expected to see this manage estimate active flag option here within the Invoices app, you wouldn't, because that app routine wasn't built within the Invoices app. Okay. So now we're going to hit manage estimate active flag. And then it says, wait for this routine to finish before continuing with remaining actions. Don't wait for this routine to finish and continue with remaining actions. I always recommend you choose the first one. I've never not needed to go to this one, really. It's always been the case where I've just chosen the very first option. Okay. So now if we go here, we'll say call estimate active flag automation. All right. And then from here, what we're also going to do is we're going to refresh the estimates grid, because we want to see that active column flag refresh with, because right now they're showing as all active. We want to see which ones are now inactive. Okay. So we're going to say that, hit close. Let's give this a shot. All right, here we are. And there we have it. Now you'll notice these are no longer true. There's a bunch that are false. So just to validate this, we have basically a active flag here that shows March 19th false, March 19th false, going all the way back February 8th. Why is this not? Oh, yes. Another thing, I just tricked myself. The reason why this one shows true and not false is because it's looking at closed here. So that means that because in our automation we're only looking at pending estimates, it's not going to update this flag. Now the assumption here obviously is that if you closed an estimate, you would have also had the flag as set to inactive. So in the real world scenario, this would have also been false. But because this is a demo account, the examples here may not be as realistic as what you would see in the real world. But In this case, this would most likely be false. And if it wasn't, then yes, we would adjust the logic to also include closed status as well. So it looks like it's working. As you can see now, it's set to false. We just called it manually in the actual estimate list screen just to validate that our logic works. It does, which gives us confidence that when this runs daily on its own overnight, that it's going to do its job. Now let's just check one more thing. Let's go into our contacts app. Let's go to our companies tab. It also marked the customers that are now dormant right here, which is awesome because now as a sales manager, I can go to my sales team and say, hey, for all the companies or customers that are assigned to you, you're now going to find a dormant tag to them. And you need to go in and make sure that you're calling these dormant customers to see if there's an opportunity to do business with them again. Just an example. And now this dormant flag is automatically managed for you. Now, we could have also enhanced the automation to run daily. Right now, we've only built it to add the dormant flag. We haven't built it to remove the dormant flag. But for the sake of the length of this video, I didn't want to go into that much detail, but it's very easy to set up where basically you can have it so that it can also check those dormant companies to see if they do have an estimate that was recently created. And if it did, then it could just remove that dormant flag because now it's no longer dormant. So now you can have the method automation go ahead and just manage your cold customers from your warm customers, just like this. Now, just to take it one step further, because this won't take me too much time, I can go ahead now and I can add another view, right? So I can go ahead and say dormant list, right? Dormant companies list, right? And in here, what I'm going to add is another condition. And I'm going to say tag list contains dormant. Okay. So now, if we go here, and I don't know why these lists are set up like this because they really shouldn't. Sorry. My OCD is kind of killing me here. Okay. So now we've created a report for the entire company. When they go, whoever has access to see, you can, like, everyone will have access to this because everyone is going to have access to the contacts app. But when they see this report now, it's only going to show them now their dormant companies that they're assigned to, which is amazing because now it's just filtered, it's clean. They can work on this list when they have time to try to get new business and revive that customer. So that is the conclusion to this video on method automation and what it can do for you. So this is an incredible, powerful feature of Method. Extends off of the flexibility of Method and its ability to customize as well. It's a big part of customizing in Method is the scheduled app routines or just the regular app routines. So I hope this helped you guys out in understanding when to use it and why you should use it. If you like this video and you enjoy this video, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe down below. If you ever have any questions on, how to implement this, if you're trying to do this yourself and you're stuck, feel free. I'll have my contact information also down below, where you can email me, you can give me, you can go on my website and book a call with me. I'm more than happy to walk you through how to properly implement this. I can look over your work. If you want me to build something similar to this for you, more than happy to get on a call and talk further. Otherwise, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.